Right, so it's, we're a minute into this and Colm is here, sitting patiently. There must be some big breaking tennis news. Something has happened overnight, Colm.
Did you guys stay up to watch Rafael Nadal versus Novak Djokovic? And I hope you did, because this could be the last time they ever play each other at a Grand Slam.
That's what we
And I feel like it will be. Huh?
That's what we keep being told. Every game between these is
I know, and that's
one.
the beauty of it, because it's so tantalisingly close to the end at all times. As Jim Morrison once sang about, the future is uncertain and the end is always near, except for these two who go on forever. But this actually really, this time, could be the end. It's quite cold between the two of them, actually, as it ended after 4.25 hours at 12:30 midnight Irish time, 1:30 in the morning in France. But what a match. Did not think that last year's epic semi-final would be repeated. And again, it only went to 4 sets, didn't go to a fifth, but it's one of the all-time classic matches. And there's so many highlights from this match. Like, the first game took 10 minutes. And by then I was calculating this is going to finish at 1 a.m. And the sixth game of the second set was 18 minutes in duration, which is the longest ever game for a Grand Slam match at that level.
Right.
Yeah. You're speechless.
What happened?
Nadal played Djokovic at the French Open and he won.
Like, you were sitting here yesterday. Were you sure that this was going to happen? That it was going to be an all-time classic? Like, obviously, you have two Titans going head-to-head, but the fact that it goes into the annals straight away as one of the greatest ever, according to you anyway, that's interesting, because I wasn't sure if that was actually going to be the case.
No, it's a good question. I suppose I didn't really know. I did think... I've been saying throughout the whole build-up and as recently as during the match last night that I did think Djokovic was going to win, and I just couldn't see him losing, more to the point, not so much to do with Nadal. And then Nadal just wiped the floor with Djokovic in the first set. Djokovic wasn't even playing that badly, to be honest, but the one thing that was standing there was his first serve. He only got 47% of first serves in, but Nadal was just playing like out of this world tennis, especially his forehand. Like, Nadal forehand at the French Open is like a thing of beauty, pretty much untouched. And it looked like at that stage, with Nadal winning 6-2, and he went 3-love up in the second set, double break straight away. He won 9 of the first 11 games. It looked like it was going to be a repeat of the 2020 final whitewash. And then out of nowhere, Djokovic just came back and broke at a very crucial time to go 1-3 in the second set. And then that came up in 18 minutes in duration, where they just exchanged deuces and advantages. I was actually talking to Joe Malloy, he was watching it last night, and he was catching up on it, and he was asking, are these epic rallies that go on forever? It actually wasn't. The rallies were quite short and sharp. The things where the games were just really long, and they were exchanging point for point. It's very rare that a player won 2 points in a row at one stage. And it was just such a brilliant sporting spectacle to see for a brief moment in probably the midway through the second set and into the third set. Both players were playing excellently well at the same time. And I thought that when Djokovic took the second, coming back from 3-love down to actually win that 6-4 in the second, I was saying to everyone who was up watching it, like, I just can't see Djokovic losing from here. But then Nadal's response, to break straight away to love in the first game of the third set, that's remarkable. And then to win that set quite handily. But then in the fourth set, Djokovic immediately breaks to go 2-love up. And you're like, we're here for the night. Like, Djokovic was 5-2 up in the fourth set. And I had accepted my fate at that stage that it was going to go all the way, and that, like, I would just have to go and actually come straight to work, like, from watching the match, because it's going to go on forever. And Nadal brought it all the way back to a tiebreak, was 6-1 up in the tiebreak, had a number of match points, but missed the first 3.
Ooh. And
at one stage, I was like, oh my God, Djokovic is going to win this tiebreak and then win the match.
That would have been all-time classic territory if he'd managed to get back, like, having...
That would have been, like, its own Netflix documentary, I think, if Nadal had come back from there. But for the tiebreak, I found myself not being able to sit down. I just stood up for the whole thing, partly because I was so caught up in the whole event, and also because I was just imploring Nadal to win so I could go to bed. Because I was calculating it was going to take another hour. The second set took 88 minutes. That's too much.
Well, once I saw that, I was like, no, I'm out.
That's too much.
I was out at that stage.
The problem here is the night schedule. I was going to say something else there. This night schedule is so ridiculous, like, to start at that time. Well, in Paris. I mean, unless they have an absolutely monumental American audience that we don't know about.
When I was watching, they were talking about last year when the president had to ring in and say, no, it's okay, you can go on a bit later. Remember there was like a...
Yeah, that was...
COVID related,
that was the same.
Yeah, that was correct.
Yeah, that was when they had partial crowding. Yeah.
And then the other thing was that the metro doesn't run all night.
Exactly, yeah.
So,
but everyone stayed.
Well, Roland Garros is pretty handy to get to.
Very few fans left. The fans were quite raucous. Djokovic wasn't happy with them. Obviously, extremely pro Nadal, but they were shouting between points a lot, and serves were being delayed. Another interesting thing about the serves is, they have the shot clock. So if they don't serve before it gets to 0, they in theory get penalised. When Nadal was taking advantage of that quite loose rule all night long, and he was frequently getting to 0, and the umpire only actually penalised them once. But it was ridiculous.
What's
and what
the
Nadal
penalty?
kept doing was he kept on looking at the clock just as he was bouncing the ball. And Djokovic is known to take an eternity to serve, but Nadal was taking longer than Djokovic last night. And I'm certain that this was a tactic.
Oh, yeah.
Certain, because he never does this where he looks at the clock and looks down again.
Fight fire with fire.
He took advantage of his godlike status at the French Open, because umpire wouldn't dream of penalising Nadal.
So you said he got penalised once. What is the penalty? Just here, listen, don't be doing that again.
Second serve.
Second serve.
Okay.
Yeah, but John McEnroe was going nuts on co-commentary, saying, you got to penalise these guys a point. You got to take a game off them, because they're just going to keep on doing this. It's like a footballer giving dissent to the referee. Like, if they're not going to respond to it, footballers going to keep on doing it.
The other
Same
thing
with
is
these tennis players.
It seems like it's a target now, as opposed to this is your limit. It's like
It depends what the makeup is. So Nadal obviously sees Djokovic. I know he is by a full year, the fresher man anyway. But on clay, would he have necessarily always been that way? Would Nadal not have always thought to himself, listen, I've got the body here to sustain this regardless, and he would have gone quicker rather than slower?
Again, I just think because of age, he's going to turn 36 in 2 days' time. I think with Nadal is he was just so stung by that Djokovic defeat last year. And I mean, he's never lost here 2 years in a row. 2015 and 16, he went out. 2015, he lost to Djokovic in the quarter-final, but in 2016, he pulled out before his third round with injury. And the only other time he's lost besides last year was way back in 2009 to Robin Soderling in the last 16, who then got to the final and lost to Roger Federer, which was Federer's only French Open. Literally every other year since Nadal first played the French Open in 2005, he's won it. So Nadal has nothing to be afraid of, but the issue there was he came into the tournament with this really bad ankle, which is, to be honest, has paid them for a long time. But we talked about it a few weeks ago at the Italian Open, the warm-up event. He lost to Denis Shapovalov. He couldn't move. He really couldn't move, and I was worried about how deep he could actually go into this French Open. And when the draw was made, the standard obviously was that these two were going to play each other in a quarter-final, all going well. But it was very much an all going well for Nadal. Bear in mind as well, Felix Auger-Aliassime took him into 5 in the last round. So I really thought Djokovic was going to win this. Yeah, and Nadal was going as slow as possible just to get up some time.
He was out socialising with the Real Madrid players, or certainly he was at the game. Anyway,
at the game with yourself,
socialising. But we were all hanging out. Me,
Roger. Oh, sorry, Rafa.
LeBron.
Was LeBron there as well? Liverpool owner, card owner.
Mexican barbecue chef, 2 million Instagram followers.
The Mexican.
He's like, check him out. He's Pepsi. He was overdoing stuff for Pepsi. I was like, this is a mad combination of people.
And Jerry Gilroy.
Well, that was not part of it, but
come here. This tennis documentary, Drive to Survive, What a Racket, has a great episode there last night. And I think what's really interesting is the needle between them.
Very quickly, Alcaraz was beaten. So that was yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, that was yesterday. We can take all the time you want here, Ger.
We can.
Yeah, where's your wunderkind now?
We can keep Nathan. It's fine. Alcaraz lost to Alexander Zverev in 4 sets.
Yeah,
and that was a surprise. That was a real surprise. But he looked every bit his 19 in the first 2 sets. Zverev was much better than him. Alcaraz took the third, and Zverev just snuck the fourth. But with Alcaraz, we were saying here it's best player in the world in current form, and he was at the time. But the thing we did caveat with was that's best of 3, and best of 5 is a different story.
He would have lost best of 3 against Zverev anyway, so he lost the first 2 sets, and so.
Yeah, but he has a very, very bright future, and he himself wasn't too down about it afterwards. But you just compare him to Nadal, and Nadal was winning the French Open at 19, and that's the only problem. But he is remarkable. I wouldn't look too much into it. I actually would be interested now with Zverev and Nadal in the semi-final. The thing with Zverev is he has an appalling record against top 10 players at Grand Slams. That was his first ever top 10 win yesterday against Alcaraz. He's an appalling record.
Beat a kid.
Appalling record. So you would think Nadal there, but just because of the fatigue. But one thing I do want to emphasise is the needle between the pair of them last night, between Djokovic and Nadal, because there's been not quite a bromance, but a massive amount of mutual respect between Nadal, Djokovic and Federer. But I think Nadal views him slightly differently because of the vaccination issue with the Australian Open. And the handshake at the end was very curt. And that's unlike the two of them. And Djokovic walked off court. Now, I think Djokovic is a bit furious with how he performed. And afterwards was very praiseworthy of Nadal. But I just thought that was an interesting...
And Nadal did legitimately say this is probably his last time. Because
I think it is. And I think that's why we should linger here, Ger. Because we might not talk about this ever again. And I think you're taking this for granted. You're just moving on to the next segment.
I'm not.
They should make like a documentary so that we can talk about it again or something.
Exactly. That's the thing. We'll get to talk about it again. When you do your 6-part review of the 4-part series.
But you're just treating this like any old segment. Like, you're just moving on. Like, this could be it.
You're not. This is Gerard's don't look up moment, where it's like this actually could be it, and Gerard's like no, they're going to keep going forever.
I think you think that, or maybe don't care, but I think that we need to like bookmark this. This is the end of the greatest era that we'll ever see in men's tennis.
It's not though, because he's playing in 2 days against Zverev.
No, the rivalry. Nadal and Djokovic may never play each other at the Grand Slam again.
There is the US Open, where I suspect they will see them to meet relatively early, just in case, right?
Yeah, and I mean it's like we're only halfway through the Grand Slam season, but I mean Nadal has said that his injuries.
There's no guarantee. Yeah, I worry for Nadal. I really do. He's hinting that he might the pain he has to get through.
Okay.
He said recently that pain takes away happiness in life. You can move out there. It's right.
Okay.
Yeah. But winning also gives back happiness.
I mean, the other things can also take away
what's
pain.
it worth, really?
Other things
when
can
you go
also
home
take
to
away
bed
pain.
and no one else is around and it's just you and the pain for company.
He should read it to Andrew.
That is sore.
He should literally take a leaf out of Andre Agassi's book and just sleep on the floor. And that's all your problem solved. That's what I took away from
what
that.
Nathan Murphy
I'd say Agassi's pretty happy. It's 7:44 this morning here on OTB AM.